Hey everyone, this is smpratte. New year, new chair here in the grandma house. We have a nice juicy topic to talk about today. In case you missed it, recently a big buyer sold a card that was swapped out of a PSA case. Let me try to do my best to explain this little Team Rocket thing we all just experienced. So it was a PSA 10 Kingdra Prime, which by the way, Kingdra's got to be happy about this one because there's so many other cards you could have swapped out and Kingdra got its day. So it was a PSA 10 Kingdra Prime, graded, cracked out, real label, moved over, different Kingdra card in a fake PSA case. The very elaborate, a lot of work, a lot of time to make an extra what, a couple $100? Like, this is the world of a scammer. You will lose your mind trying to figure out why people waste so much time and energy doing something this ridiculous and just completely worthless. You could literally go get a minimum wage job right now. All that time and energy you put in this scheme, get the same kind of payout and be happy with yourself that you're a normal human, that you're not part of Team Rocket. So that is the summary for what happened. Again, it was a real PSA 10 card, a Kingdra out of all cards, cracked out of a real PSA 10 case, grade and everything. The real label was moved over to a fake case, swapped out with a different card. I'm guessing like a lower condition card. And then maybe the other one was pre-graded. This is 240 chess for my simple boomer mind. I don't get it. For me, these hobbies are very simple. I don't care if it's Pokemon, Magic, sports. Buy the good cards, hold the good cards, sell the good cards, or dare I say, buy the stuff you like, enjoy the stuff you like. Very simple. I've been doing that my whole life. I don't understand why people try to go this route. I will never, ever get it. The one thing I'll say, though, here to really compliment the community is the FBI needs to hire the Pokemon detectives. I guess myself included, because I spotted that fake stamp guy who was like, he's out of season now. That was 2022. This is the new 2023 scammers coming in. And the people who found this out like in real time, they noticed the hollow pattern was different. So kudos to those people who noticed it right away because it's a very odd thing to do. I just will never understand why people go this route. And the very peculiar thing about this is the person who's potentially involved is throwing down heavy, right? They're buying like the most expensive cards, flexing all the time, cash, art, Pokemon, maybe watches or something I missed. I don't know. I'm not subscribed, but the bottom line is, it's one of these people who's like very outspoken, flex culture, hashtag grind set type thing. So again, Kingdra Prime, like Shiny Charizard, Charizard EX, Crystal Charizard, nah. Kingdra Prime, that's where it's at. That's the true king. So that is the summary of what happened. Now, a couple big questions. Is there a solution to it? Will it affect the market? Those are things people want to know. And first off, will it affect the market? Is it a realistic threat? No. I don't think this is something that is even worth worrying about. And I even said that in the reseal video that I did. I'm not sure when I put that one up yet about the V-Star, talk about how the wrap's bad and all that, and just trying to give people a little more of like a grounded response to all this stuff. You have a better chance if you end up being the unlucky guy, the inverse lucky person who gets the card that was recased. Take that cert number, go put those numbers in the lottery because that's how rare it's going to be. It's going to be such an exception that it's something you don't have to worry about. This is such an odd scheme. I don't even know if I've ever heard about this before. Like Team Rocket is like really, really taking it to new levels. Like you could, again, go work a normal minimum wage job and you can make the same kind of money. I just will never understand it. So bottom line is, I don't think you have to worry about this. I don't think it's really going to affect the market. One thing people said, this kind of like a little side tangent here, will it affect consumer confidence with people selling out of China? Potentially. If this is something that can happen more frequently because China does have access to manufacturing. They produce everything. Like majority of what you see here is most likely manufactured over there, or a lot of it is. So it makes sense why they could have access to an identical case and things like that. But the bottom line is, as it stands, first off, I have no need to buy from China, and I feel bad for legitimate sellers, but right now I don't think it's like, okay, that you just wouldn't buy from China. I don't know if that'd ever be a day where it's like, okay, wholesale, you don't do that. Because ultimately there's going to be places, there's going to be an smpratte over there. There's going to be like legitimate, like a Rusty or a Gary or whoever, and there's going to be actual businesses that are fine, where this one, again, I think it's more an exception. I think whenever this happens, the fear, like the reaction comes up, and I think it's a natural human thing, to get scared and go through like the 5 stages of worry or grief and be like, okay, are all my cards recased? Like, is anything real? So yeah, I think it's one of those things that's so uniquely terrible that it gives you pause and you consider it for a bit, but ultimately I don't really think it's going to be a worry. Now, solutions. We have a couple here. realistic ones, some very like advantageous, like Da Vinci Code-esque ones. So first off, what PSA does directly with this is they remove the cert. Now, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think it's a great solution. I've been victim of that. So basically what it is they punish the person who owns the card, the actual legitimate card. I've had this happen on some high value items, like 6-figure items. And because of that, some of them exceed the insurance. Like they'll all comp it for you, give you a new label, all of that. The problem is first off, time value. It's a whole job for me to do all that. Second, the liability of like, I have to ship this out. The one I sent out wasn't fully covered by insurance. You just try not to think about it. Also, I don't want to have it handled this much. The bottom line is it's not really a great solution because you're punishing the person who did nothing wrong, right? The scammer Team Rocket Grunt is still out there doing whatever. And meanwhile, the legitimate owner of the card has to do all this work because of this, scumbag Pratt 420 Blaziken who ended up swapping out the labels or whatever. So I don't think it's a great solution, but it's what PSA does. It's kind of an impulse reaction, in my opinion. I heard that they're going to seek legal action. I'm not sure how this works because I don't know everyone that's involved. People are talking about how it might be this big buyer. I don't know. It could have been sent through multiple people. Maybe it's like middleman involved. I'm not sure. I don't know all the pieces involved. That's for PSA to figure out. Just letting you know that that's one of the talking points is that PSA most likely or said that they're going to seek legal action. Now, the crazy solution that, again, it comes from passion. It's people reacting to this. But some people were thinking like Da Vinci Code, when you don't do the combo right, it just vinegars and everything just gets destroyed. People were suggesting maybe PSA should implement that. So when you crack the case, your label just like disintegrates or dissolves. I don't really know if that's good for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think there's a lot of legitimate reasons for people to open up a PSA case, right? I send in tens of thousands of cards a year. I'm going to miss an indent. I'm going to miss some damage sometimes. And so when that card comes back with like the dreaded PSA 5 or 6 grade, I'm going to crack it out, put in the never-ending to sell one day ungraded pile or like put it in my binder. So there's a lot of organic reasons to just crack a card out. You don't like the grade, you want to put in the binder, you want to sell it raw, you want to keep it raw, you want to roll the dice again. There's a lot of reasons and a lot of normal, reasonable like reasons why somebody would crack open a case. So having it dissolve is not ideal. Also, if that's not enough for you, if you're like, no, I'm a purist, I don't like anything cracked, if it's graded, it's one and done. Even if you're in that camp, having those, cards that are cracked out, you can send the label back in to make the pop more accurate. So there's still that as well. So if you are someone who cracks out a card, I used to do that back in the day. I'd put all the labels in a little envelope, ship it out at the end of the year, and then, PSA would adjust the pop report. So that's another reason why, you don't want to have like the Da Vinci Code thing when you crack open a case, and also like cross grades and things like that. Like they're going to have to crack it if you're at crossing or even reviewing, or if you ever want to recase your card, forget about all the big money optimization things. That's just something that I think isn't a great solution. Again, it's more of a reaction. Ultimately, I think the best solution, which I think PSA has started to do this for a lot of the cards, especially like the upper tier services, just scan every card. Like, what does it take? Like, you got to have it. Like, you're the top grading company. You got to be doing it at this point, especially since the 2020, explosion and exposure for collectibles and trading cards. It's got to be a standard. All this stuff should be scanned all the way from like a Charizard to an energy card. It should all be scanned. That way it's really easy to be like, oh, okay, I could see the card if there was whitening, if it has the same hollow pattern, etc. It's just an added layer that I think should be a standard now for pretty much everything. Even me in the grandma house, when I do consignments, they all get scanned front and back. So the big old billion-dollar companies, I think, should be doing that as well, and I think that's the best option. Now, the biggest question here, which will finish off the video, and probably give you a little Patreon exclusive, because I'll divulge some of my experience. As a lot of people know, a little humble brag, I do deal with the upper echelon in Pokemon. I've been dealing with wealthy people now, wealthy clients, for, I think, at least 10 years. And that's why I always say sperm to sperm whale, because the money I've seen or the people I've come across, the celebrities, whoever it is, are the very, very quiet ones who really throw down. What I've experienced in my time is that wealthy people are not some different species of human. I think a lot of people treat them that way. Like there's like a magical number where it's like, oh, okay, like no bad things happen anymore. There's all like everyone who's wealthy doesn't play these games. I have met people who no less of a net worth than $10 million who asked me straight up, is there a cheaper shipping option than $3 per card? like me circa like 2000, mid 2000s, when I was in college just hustling, wasn't concerned if there was a cheaper shipping option than $3. And you got people over here who are deck millionaires legitimately like straight up asked me, caught me off guard, like cheaper than $3. There's people who just like to play games, you know, in any category. One thing I wanted to say here from my experience is that a lot of people in Pokemon, I would even categorize myself like this, are what I would call semi-rich. You know, they're comfortable, they're doing well, knock on wood. Life is good, if you will, but it's not at this level where it's like Succession. It's not this level where your family has a private jet, where you don't have to work at all, you know, where you just live off of nothing but dividends or whatever it is. That's a different category. That's why I say sperm of the sperm whale. So this type of person has a lot of time on their hands. The person who's still grinding out and does everything because they have a crazy business model that's centered around them and they can't outsource any of it, that is a different animal. You know, I'm always crunched for time where these people have teams of people. That person I mentioned asked about $3 shipping. They have a team of people to take care of all their stuff. They have cleaners, live-in help, someone, business manager. They have someone who takes care of all the nitty-gritty. So what do they have? Nothing but time. They can play Candy Crush all day. They can do whatever it is. And in this case, someone who had a little devil on his shoulder decided to swap out cards, potentially. Potentially, that's, you know, the rumor here. The bottom line is I've dealt with this guy individually. I get that games thing going on. It feels game. I don't like it. I'm a straight shooter. I tell you an offer. I pay you, vice versa. That's how I operate. I don't like the games, but that's the vibe I get from this. That's as far as I would go personally, because we don't know for sure who's all involved here. But again, why I'm saying all this little video in a video is because people of wealth, there's no different, it's not like they're different species. And again, I think that distinction between like someone who's doing well or comfortable, semi-rich, if you will, versus like actual rich, actual whale money, these people over here have a lot of time because they have teams of people taking care of every little thing. But when you're still out here in the grandma house doing everything yourself, yeah, the cash flow's fine, but it's a different world. You know, these people have nothing but time, so therefore the little devil on the shoulder enters, little Team Rocket grunts like, oh, hello. And they come in and they tell you, maybe you should switch out that Kingdra card. Maybe nobody will notice. Maybe that was the angle with the Kingdra, is that nobody would notice. So that's what I have with all this. The thing I always say about scams is it's a short-term potential gain for a long-term risk. I will never get it. You are burning the flame as hot as possible. I don't understand it. I'm such a long-term focused person, slow and steady. You know, I've been that way, maybe to a fault sometimes. Maybe I'm a little too like too much blast toys over here and a little too slow motion. But the bottom line is this short-term stuff, you're just completely destroying your reputation. Like, how do you, if this is that individual, whoever's involved here, it's like, how do you bounce back from that, right? Because it's so bad. It's so just Team Rocket that it's like, nah, you're not, you're the baddie. Like, you got the skull and crossbones on your hat. Like, you're the bad guy. So, yeah, I will never understand it. And again, for me, if you're concerned about money, the very simple solution is buy the good cards, hold the good cards, sell the good cards. Or if you just want to enjoy it or do both, buy the stuff you like, enjoy the stuff you like. It's really that simple. I've been doing that for now, 16 years or however long it's been. It's not unique to me. It's not unique to Pokemon. It's something that's true. Probably not even for collectibles, for a lot of life. And yeah, this is another example to throw up there that it's not good. And overall, you don't have to worry about it. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. Hopefully, whoever's involved stops now because they've been caught and this is the end of it. But there it is. Starting off the new year with a nice, juicy topic right out of the gate. That's why I have everyone. Hopefully this was useful. Hopefully you like the new little chair here. Green's my favorite color, in case you didn't know. Before we get any further, as always, you know the deal. Let me know how I feel. Pretty much it, guys. Till next time.